Hi everyone. Yumin means hello in Gungari language. My name is Tyrone Pearce. Bless our conference here today. Bless us and everyone we love and everyone else. I'd like to acknowledge and bless the Jarawoir and Giabul peoples, as well as the Wakka people of the Darling Downs and other people who are laying claims to this area. I'd also like to acknowledge the elders, past and present and emerging. I'd like to acknowledge and bless the spirits on this land that frequent our lives and encourage our spiritual growth in this life and the next. I'd like to thank Gurulbo Chairperson Kim Walmsley and Hanif of the Pure Land College and the Venerable Master Jin Kong, and our favourable Mayor and councillors and dignitaries here today. Those that did make it. Jeff's not here yet. I'd like to talk about my family, and my talk today is about family, and family is born of tribe mentality. This is of a higher caring value that encourages empathetic ways within the tribe, because all lives matter. Systems reboot. My family has strong spiritual beliefs, and this is demonstrated in the lives when empathy meets sorrow and sadness. Our ancestors are watching and waiting for acknowledgement, just like all the spirits of days gone by. My spiritual growth started at an early age, and this was demonstrated by my mother's nurturing. My mother told me that she suffered menopause after her first 7 children, but when I was born, she had lost that dreaded ailment. So I had been treated like a healer before I even knew anything about healing. I know the cradle of life is connected to our spiritual growth, and we grow with love, kindness, and compassion for each other. Understanding our spiritual journey is our lifeline in this life and the next. My First Nation people's names are Saunders, Collins, Mailman. Pearce is of a Scottish ancestry. Grandfather Stephen Pearce, World War I veteran, married Emma Saunders, whose bloodline I've tracked to the Kamilaroi and the Darug people of Parramatta. Grandfather enlisted out of Augathella for World War I and later raised 12 children in Augathella. Bidgera man, my grandfather Gilbert Mailman, born in Augathella, Queensland. Red kangaroo is his totem, and his bloodline is traced to Mount Tabo, Carnarvon Gorge. Grandfather married Elsie Collins of Mitchell, Queensland, of the Gungari tribe. They raised 4 girls and 3 boys and later moved to Mitchell, home country of my Gungari grandmother Elsie Collins. Nana was an advocate for change, and I proudly accept her basic instinct to be humane. Sadly, losing a son, Gilbert Mailman Jr. in New Guinea during World War II, I inherited a sense of loss from her and my mother and other aunties and uncles due to this loss in their lifetime. Grandfather was a contractor for cattle droves and station work. He hired out horsemen to station owners, and he would butcher a beast for family and friends to share. I experienced the best of many tribes and traditions because of connection to country on all sides of my family. Both my parents were born in Augathella. Dad, William Pearce, better known as Bill Pearce, married Merlene Mailman, better known as Barley Pearce. My mother worked for the best cattle station owners, convents and Fairholme College later upon arrival here in Toowoomba. They raised 9 children. One of those was fostered by our family. I spent the first 6.5 years of my life in Mitchell, where I was born, then moving to Toowoomba because of concerns for my father's health due to a horse fall. My elder siblings were my mentors for a short period of my life, and they taught me Many skills: welding, engineering, carpentry, building. Accomplishing trade certificates was a lifelong challenge for me for a number of reasons. Toying with wind turbine designs at the age of 14 to help my sister off-grid house recharge batteries and pump water for her house in 1978. This was the confidence I needed to make a difference in this lifetime. I knew back then that energy can be free, and now I know science will one day free us from the energy costs forever. Later in engineering and fabrication, I had designs on a fume extraction unit for the welding industry. The statistics from Environment Department attest to fumes causing acid rain and also preventing rain. The statistics from Workplace Health and Safety Agency attest to causing cancer to major organs: brain, heart, lung, nose, throat, and reproductive system. I was given the green light for funding and support. I had asked for better community leadership to ensure a better outcome for many of my fellow Australians. Unfortunately, my project is on hold until I am guaranteed of better support for my people. Growing up in Toowoomba, having the eldest Indigenous World War II veterans as parents, they were known by all of the Indigenous families occupying the land here in Toowoomba. There was about 5 or 6 families in total, and those families were from out west. My parents were foundation members of the Downs Aboriginal Islander Company that provided houses for Indigenous community here who were unable to get rentals. Being the eldest Indigenous citizens, put our family in one of the first houses owned by the company. My parents had an option to buy or rent. My parents chose to rent because we thought we would have had to move to Brisbane for better doctrine of my dad. In 1971, we arrived to a city that wasn't friendly at school or in the street. I experienced racial violence in my first 3 months of school here in grade 3, and it was hell. The kids were so much bigger than I, and unfortunately, for the majority of those racist bullies, I was taught to defend myself and to extend a hand to help them up and understand that hurt leads to more hurt. Unfortunately, my schooling didn't compare to schooling I received in Mitchell, and thus keeping me back a grade. Lucky for my fellow grade 2 students that I was able to ward off the higher grade bullies, and this made me popular among most of my new classmates because they trusted me to protect them, and I became like family. I still have connection to those people today. From that time on, I had been part of the Isa Street Baptist Church until well into my later years. I was ministered by a Pastor John Wilson, former US Marine, who taught me everything he knew about life and the Bible. Those people were family to me, and a love of sport created family orientation. Brotherhood and sisterhoods were formed at a young age. In football, I played with and against future Origin Australia team representatives. My sister Tina Harms and her husband created Calcadoon Boxing Club, and I was the second fighter for the club. The club grew rapidly, and trainer Neil Geddes brought greatness to the club, and well as many well-known fighters. Boxing gyms was where I found extended family and times of sadness. By the age of 15 years old, I had lost 2 brothers and a father. This took a great deal of happiness from my life. Determined to keep their honour alive in me, I chose wisdom over sorrow. Innovation and change in oneself was all I had. Self-encouraging tactics was the only way I could be the best at whatever I did. I had a number of jobs after school. Selling fruit was door-to-door was one of those jobs. Welding and fabrication industries were another extended family that lasted 19 years of my working life. I became an Indigenous Education Ambassador with the Department of Workplace Employment, Education and Relations. My role was to share my journey with school students. I was sworn in by Peter Garrett in 2011. In this year, I won Queensland Carpenter of the Year, being Indigenous trustee of the Phil Little Sustainable Design Foundation was one of the reasons I won that award. The foundation is registered on the Greens Council in Canberra as a biodiversity project, and I've been part of this foundation since 2005. As the trustee, my role consists of many things: securing an Indigenous organisation that could facilitate and fabrication of eco-friendly housing, which are prefabricated and then erected in a day. Finding a champion politician was another part of my role to secure a better future for Indigenous Australians in trades and for community to evolve and move forward into house affordability and sustainability. The foundation won a Jarawoir Award for innovation. It has 3 differently designed houses, the first being of all cypress house, which is a 3-storey house. There has been 30 of these built and have been tried and tested for almost 30 years now. The second house was built out of the Science Research and Development Department in Brisbane. It's called the Warehouse. The third house is called the Rapid Deployable Housing. Another part of my role on this foundation has been to get government to support a competition called the Solar Decathlon that has been happening since 2002. Origin of the Solar Decathlon is that the US Department of Energy realised that there is grave danger of a solar flare wiping out the grid. So not knowing what to do in this case, they asked universities of America to come up with a solution, and the Solar Decathlon was born. This is a competition for universities to engineer and design and build an eco-friendly house which powers an electric car that is also designed and built by the team. The foundation has been promoting the idea in Australia for the last 16 years or more. We, the foundation, would like to collaborate with an Indigenous organisation to secure a team of Indigenous people to compete on a regional, national or world stage using TAFE and a university to compete. Wollongong University in New South Wales TAFE won first place in 2013. My journey has been great opportunities to meet some wonderful people here in Toowoomba, and the majority of these people I'd met at a workplace or a civil rights movement. Healing takes effort, support and encouragement from others who have no ego or self-destructive motives. We're conditioned to catch ourselves at great moments. We're conditioned to think that our lives revolve around great moments. But great moments catch us unaware, beautifully, wrapped in what others may consider a small one. People may not remember exactly what you did or what you said, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. Life may not be the party we hoped for, but while we're here, we might as well dance. For the grassroots people, there is a plant somewhere on this country that will cure any sickness. Thanks for listening.